record, so don't forget. Okay. Great. Who would like to start us off today with our check-in?
Lisa's got a lot going on. Let Lisa go ahead and start.
Okay. Beautiful.
Alrighty, guys. Hey, we were just actually part of our call this morning is that Jill made a great offer to help me with, just understanding my systems and being more efficient because that's her jam. And I was telling her about how I have to really just kind of embrace Salesforce because that's the one that's mandated through our industry to use. It's part of a technology package that we're forced to pay. So we have our supervision through all the regulators and they can see all of our business that's being processed properly. Anyway, so that's a big part of what my training and my operations gal, she is actually gone this week now because I went ahead and approved her to go to that conference in LA. And so we're going to be 2 ships passing because she's going to be there through Wednesday night. And then I leave Thursday night through Sunday to be in LA for a different reason.
Yeah, we're swapping.
Yeah, we are. Just tightening up, I think part of this whole process and what I've seen in the last quarter to the end of the year is really just a tightening of processes with 2.5 people. We've really dove in to redefine roles, redefine tasks, who can do what. And now we're at that point is how to make it even on the sides the client doesn't see, just really super efficient so that clients, I hate the idea that a client said, yeah, I want to help, I want to work with you. I have these things that I really need to address in my money picture and I have solutions and they agree to those solutions. And then I don't get them back into the cycle and it takes months and months and, vacations and all that stuff kind of get in the way. But it's not that their desire isn't still to not do it. It's just that it's the timing is off or something's not happening. And I think part of it, I'll take the ownership. I think part of that is us as a team not taking the ownership to make sure that if we haven't heard from them in 3 weeks, we need to do some, hand holding and, hey, how you doing? And just bring them back into the mix. So that's my only thing is lost opportunity. And that's really part of that part of efficiency that I think we're really good on people that are just ready to do it from day one, but it's kind of a 3-step process because I want to do due diligence and I want to make sure that we're methodical and we really help people. But I was saying to Jill, the ideal situation is that we meet somebody at the beginning of the month and near the end or the first part of that next week, next month, it's a 3 to 5 week process, but they should be in our books, their clients. They're receiving regular hand-holding, they're getting their statements, they're hearing from us on a regular basis of all the events that we've got going on. So there's a cycle that I want to really tighten up for next year for sure.
Yeah. I was curious, do you use like an online scheduler, like a Calendly or anything like that?
We've tried it.
You've tried it?
Yeah, we've tried it and it could be completely our mindset. We did try it like when we originally started. The problem is, I think, I don't know, maybe I'm putting too much on it. I'm open to re-listening to that idea, but I find that one of the issues was that if I don't know where the client's coming from, and it kind of goes back to that thing that happened to me last week, if I don't know the referral source or why they, their initial reason that they want to sit down and talk with me, it seems like there was a lot of vendors, people just wanting to get on your calendar because they know you're a new business and it had nothing to do with business. They just wanted to share what their business was to you and that you could be a client of theirs. And the second part of it is like because I don't have a website, I just have Facebook and LinkedIn, and I'm part of so many social networks that, again, that was just like, I want to get on Lisa's calendar, and then they'd show up, and it was kind of like we didn't really have an intention or a reason. What is the initial, what can I do for you to help? And it just kind of fell apart. So I don't know if that's just a me thing or what.
Yeah, and I guess the reason that I'm sharing that is because I feel like I'm a little bit one of those people right now for you. Like want to sit down with you and like I'm in LA and then in Chicago and you're in whatever. Like we're trying to
Yeah.
figure that out. And I just think as far as if you're talking about like systems, structure, streamlining,
Yeah.
and maybe it's not a random link that anyone can get anywhere.
Uh-huh.
It's just like in our communication, if you were to send me a message, hey Marley, let's find a time in the next whatever, instead
Right.
of us being like, are you free then? Are you free then? Are you free then?
Right. It's this
Here's a
back and
link
forth.
and you can have different versions of it. You can have a 15-minute call, like,
Yeah.
but the nice thing about something like Calendly too is you can ask up to 3 questions
Okay.
on that scheduler. And so it would be like, what is your goal or intention for meeting with me?
Uh-huh.
What are the biggest challenges that you're facing financially in your business? And is
Okay.
there anything else you want me to know or whatever?
Okay.
Like, so that way, if someone, and you can make those required. So that way,
Yeah.
someone's not just filling up your calendar
Mm-hmm.
and you or your team is the one sending the link. So you're sending it to who you want to meet with. You're just making it easier on the scheduling side. It's not
Yeah.
for randos to anyone who wants to meet with you and take up your time.
Yeah.
It's just to eliminate some of the back and forth.
Yeah,
And
I think when we originally started it, it was one of a marketing gal that had set it up, and I just maybe we just didn't know all the properties and all the things that it can, we can customize and really make it more for how we want to receive information. So that's a good idea.
yeah, it just might make scheduling easier. Like, and sending people links and then they can look at their calendar, they can pick a date and a time that works for them.
Yeah.
Also check out, it's an extension. It's called assistant.to.
Okay.
It's a free email extension that allows you to schedule pretty easily with somebody and share your calendar, but only share what you want to share with them.
Oh, okay.
That's that was always my issue with Calendly, because it's so broad and I would be giving up way too much control over the who, what, where, and when.
Mm-hmm.
So assistant.to. There's also, do you use Gmail for your business?
No. So we're through, I have a Gmail. I originally started Financial Girlfriend with a Gmail, but once we got hooked up to the broker dealer, it's through Outlook. And it does have, now I know Outlook also with Salesforce, there's a linkability that I have never figured out, because how cool would it be just to enter in the email once, and then all of a sudden you're in Salesforce and you're typing them an email instead of the back and forth thing too. So I know that there's ways that we should be doing this, and I just feel like there's a lot of time wasted because we're just trying to figure out how these things all work together.
Mm-hmm.
But Outlook, I know, has the ability to also, we're just figuring out the whole auto response thing. I feel like we're dinosaurs in this, and our industry is so that way. Like nobody knows. We're asking for things that you guys are probably so used to using, and I feel like we're just like little tiny babies asking for this in the corner. But you're right. That's how efficient offices would be if didn't have to take Legos and Lincoln Logs and try to make them match together. It's just crazy.
Yeah. So with that, what I'm hearing from you is that the ultimate goal is streamlining your systems so that what?
So that no burnout. Number one is the burnout element. One of the reasons I know Christine wanted to go away for these 3 days is that she gets to chillax. She gets to talk to other industry professionals. She really gets to, in a way, it's a weird way, but it's a business self-care of just being, a refresh, innovation. Same reason I would go to the intuitive speaking. It's just this,
right.
It's a place where you just block out 3 days of just you time, and you get to direct your own actions and what you want to take in. And so, so the burnout is getting, And it only happens during a couple times in the year. If I look back at the entire 12 months, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I've had a lot of free time. I don't feel like I'm completely burned out, but I just feel like it's like, I don't want people coming into the office and going, oh, I have to do that email chain that she wants, or I have to, it's like, I want to do it because it's exciting. And you know what I mean? The difference between want to and have to.
Right. And that's why sometimes knowing the purpose of that structure and streamlining for yourself, for your team, it's like, it's just knowing the why behind the what of like, our ultimate goal is, it's like, it's a win-win.
Mm-hmm.
It's a win for us so that we're creating these systems and structures so we avoid burnout, and we're making it easier for our clients. We're making these things, to create more ease and flow for everyone. And so if that's the ultimate goal and the intention, and then it's like, and as a team, we're going to figure out and ultimately with all the tools that are out there, it's just figuring out what tools make sense for you and your business and your goals, right? And not having so many tools that it creates more complications, but how do you just choose the ones that work?
Exactly.
And there's going to be that little bit of a learning curve until you get those things dialed. And then finding some, working with Jill or having those conversations to get that support of like, hey, here's what we tried. And sometimes it's a little trial and error. Hey, we tried it. We didn't like it. It didn't work. We're going to do something else. And like letting that be okay too, because just something works for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for you at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately from my internal goal behind this would be replicatable so that we did it, it took it, we dialed everything in, and in, within 2 years of being an actual entity called My Financial Girlfriend, once we have another branch office, I have 2.5 bodies to work with, and the trainings, it's like, here is the system that really is proof. I mean, it's proof in the pudding, right?
Yeah. And even like things like when you're meeting with that person for the first time, and maybe we did do this and then we had to reschedule, and then we've just tried like, hey, let's schedule a time 3 weeks from now. And I think we did that actually.
I do that almost 90% of the
all
time.
The time.
Because I just know how it can crazy, the minute and I think I said this at one of the other times, maybe it was the bonus call, but it's like clients felt the ability is like, wow, the only time we really get true attention and your full Lisa time is when we schedule an hour and a half. And I'm like, you're right. That's because, one client has been trying to call me on the fly. And after that first attempt, I text her back and I said, we have to get even a phone call even if it's only 15 or 20 minutes, it has to be on my schedule, or it will evaporate. It will be as if we never even thought about doing it.
Yeah. So what's your game plan in getting some of those systems in place?
So I was mentioning to Jill that the whole thing with Salesforce is that I will be honestly, I have been resistant to learning that, only because it just seems it's never been as user friendly as I had hoped. I mean, I'll say I'm novice to moderate on the technology scale. But when it says click here to click here to click there, and then Salesforce to me was way more engineer, like, some kind of technology engineer thing. I don't think it was ever written by somebody in her work. And so it's like, you have to know to click over to here after you've done this. And, cause it's like add a client, add an account. And then if the client has like 8 accounts, each one of those is an add account. And, even just one mutual fund, but somebody could have a 401k that has 8 mutual funds within it. That's 8 separate accounts. And so there's cumbersomeness. And so I've just been like, it needs to be easier. It needs to have more, more ways for us just to be able to data enter and make sure that the input is good so that we get the great output that we're looking for.
Right.
I'm constantly getting supervisory little emails saying, Lisa, you didn't attach a statement when you mentioned this about their account. And I'm like, okay, show me how I can do a snapshot on Salesforce where all of their accounts are in one place, and as opposed to me going to 5 different mutual fund companies and pulling 5 separate states and then adding 5 separate statements to the email. I just want a snapshot picture. And I know that they don't like snippet, and they don't like, Lisa screenshotting her iPhone and then sending them a copy of it. So
right.
I gotta just.
And is that something that you need to figure out, or is that something that someone on your team can figure out?
Yeah, actually I could pass that. I could probably, unfortunately, the only person that would understand the compliance level and the level of which, or even know what questions to ask, they got like, for instance, Anya is my part-time gal. I'll tell her, hey, call this company and ask them why they haven't rolled over those funds after 2.5 months or something. And she'll call, and then they'll give her some, in my opinion, bogus answer, because this T didn't get crossed or that I didn't get dotted. And then I'll go, no, you got to dig. You got to be a pit bull. You can't let the first person is the person who just wants to get you off the phone. You have to ask for a supervisor. You have to say, well, tell me where on that form I didn't dot that I, or, and she'll just take originally it was like, I'll just take the answer, and then there's 3 or 4 days lost because she'll get back to me and say, oh, we didn't do this. Oh no, we did do that. That's why, and again, it's like, it's training. I mean, all of this stuff is just like, you guys are seeing the whole, how to build a hairball, the behind the scenes of what we do. So, it's go ahead, Jill, you had some.
2 things. In Salesforce, do they still have the ability to create sub jobs under a client?
Well, the only one I'm familiar with is tasks, and we can assign it to any one of us. Like if I'm assigning it to Christine, or I can assign it to Anya, it'll show up on there. When they open up their Outlook, it shows as their task list or a to-do list.
Okay. Yeah. Because Salesforce used to have the ability to nest and create a parent-child relationship. So talking about all the different funds that you are trying to find reports on for one single client, there used to be a way to nest those under the client as sub-jobs, as projects. And that way you can screenshot it from there because it'll all roll under the client. Now, I don't know if that's still a possibility or not. Check into it and see if it is, because that could solve a lot of those issues for you. The other thing I'm thinking is, what about asking a colleague who is under your same umbrella, who has to do the same exact thing, what their process is. That way you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
You can just take what they're doing and like, okay, that's how I'm going to get all of that to work.
Yeah. Well, and I think, so last year when we both went to this conference, there was a lot of aha moments about, oh my God, I can't believe we've been doing it A through Z, and everybody else is doing X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? And so, I think that's part of the excitement of her coming back, because she'll show us some stuff.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that nobody else, see, and this is where we're the pioneers in our industry. I'll just say, if nobody is doing the volume that we're doing with 2.5, usually what we're doing, I mean, we're being demanding on ourselves, but with 2.5 FTE, we're producing as if it were a 10 admin office, 1 advisor and 10 admins behind the scenes. So again, my cost efficiency is way down. Our net profit is like, I spend just in payroll and office and admin, we're spending less than 20% of our overall revenue, gross revenue.
Wow.
So,
Gina.
Yeah, that's right. And so that's why I think if we could have My Financial Girlfriend centers splattered all over the United States, just like we have Starbucks, that's the goal ultimately, is we could literally never be out of clients and always be working with people who just absolutely need to know how to do something, how to work with an advisor. I mean, I was asked, I think Kate Pearson, when she did the podcast, when is the best time to sit down with an advisor? And I'm like, the first day you get a new job, you have like 8 decisions, financial decisions you need to make with HR and your payroll and your how to pay taxes, W-4, and your health care and your disability and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, just, and if you want to have direct deposit to your checking account, I mean, all those are decisions that anybody feels lost in. It takes them weeks to get that paperwork turned in because it's so inundating, and we're just not taught as Americans about how to be more proactive and create fun around money. So anyway, that's my goal.
I want to know how you're operating so lean, especially with payroll.
Well, one of our things is our office space is we're in a Regis,
right?
Co-working. So my office, which is 105 square feet, gives me access to 10,000 feet of floor space with conference rooms, and I only spend $800 a month in rent, and we're in Class A space.
Payroll alone should be at least like 30% of your budget.
No, we're Christine makes $40,000 plus profit sharing. Anya's at $15 an hour at 20 hours a week, and I'm only taking $7,500 a month, and everything else goes into the kitty.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why, because you're not paying yourself enough. Got it.
Well, it'll eventually flow to me because I'm an LLC, as if I'm an S corp. But
you're not an S corp?
Not yet. I'm just being taxed as one.
Well, then you're an S corp. If you're being taxed as an S corp, then you're an S corp.
Okay, then we're an S corp.
Yes.
Yeah. But everything is and then we do profit sharing in the first quarter. By the end of January, then all of the profits that have come through from December 31st, then is I do a hybrid. People can choose. Here's your bonus. Oops. And I have efficient lights because they turn off if they don't have movement. Anyway.
I love it.
Anyway.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so if everybody shows pro rata of whatever their contribution or how many hours they work, so for instance, Christine, I'll tell her what her bonus is, and then she can choose how much of that goes into 401k, tax deferred, and then how much of it does she want to be taxed on. So it's a hybrid.
So as far as right now, that's freaking amazing, and you're being super efficient. Do you feel like that amount of people has a cap as far as are you feeling the need to essentially add more people to the team to take on some of these things so that you can grow, or can you keep growing within just having 2.5 people? Do you know does that question make sense?
Yeah, it does, totally. And that's always the choice, is that so the first year, actually the first 7 months, May through December, when we actually opened the doors on May 1st last year through the end of December, we had gross revenue like 180,000. And
bless you,
and that number, even in of itself, I had never produced by myself in a whole 12-month period. So I knew that our jet fuel was going to be awesome for the full year, January to December of this year. And I started off with 5 people. And so, there was 5, well, it was 4.5. There was 4 full-times and 1 half-time. And I think my assessment of that is that too many hands in the kitchen. And so that's why I pared down. Now, the fact that Christine is a fully licensed representative, she just doesn't hold herself out as that in that capacity, that we could build out more capacity if we had a system that could be maintained with half-time person, and then her and I, because we're both salaried, doing the catch up, So my goal really is to have the half-time person doing more of the service oriented stuff and non-client contact, and that Christine and I could manage everything, and she could then start even seeing people maybe in the initial discovery phases or maybe to help pick up the back end, after they've seen me, they've gotten all the pieces, their plan is kind of set, now that's the paperwork phase, and Christine has the ability to go in, and then we have gotten that into where everything can pre-populate over into applications. Some of it can be e-docked. So there is a quick fix on that if we got people in that role. Does that make sense?
Totally. So do you feel like, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so for a new branch office to start, I could see 2.5 FTE, and as long as one of them were fully trained to do my role is meeting the clients and keeping the factory going, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense.
So,
do you feel like Anya is that system, like does she like the systems and ops and stuff like that?
No, my dread is that she's an awesome lady, and she is very fast at what she does do, but it's very surface. She doesn't, there's no thinking behind the sheet of paper, right? So she just like gets one sheet of paper from this place to that place, or faxes, or the things that she gravitates when she doesn't have a to-do list. Is she'd rather just scan my old files and get them into the e-server and DocuSave, rather than pick up a phone call and call Chase and ask them why the money didn't move over last week,
Right. And so I would maybe, and I think that this is kind of where you're at right now, is like, who on our team or who would we need to bring in to create, like finding someone who's really, really good at systems, who wants to do that, who can write the manual, who can create the systems so that it's replicable. And you don't, like, I just want to remind you, you don't have to be the one to do that. Right. And because your overhead's so low, maybe you do bring in someone for a certain amount of time at halftime just for that part. Like maybe Anya can do those things, but maybe you have 2 halftime people, but that other person is like finding someone who's so stoked to create the systems that are going to be that replicatable thing, because that's worth investing in.
Yeah.
And that you don't have to be the one to create it. If that's not your jam and you're client facing and you're doing all these other things, writing a list of all, like, what you would want someone to come and do. And maybe you've already done that.
I know the type of person I need, but I think also that there's some resources from our broker dealer that we haven't been exposed to. Like, I haven't asked the right person who in tech would show me how Salesforce and Outlook, or not just show me, or show my part-time person, how to write the manual to make this more efficient for our office. I mean, we're an anomaly already. I know that we're the unicorn out here in the industry. And so we're asking for things that nobody's ever really put those questions to good use. And so I know there's resources in our back office. We just got to get to the right person who's excited about what we've created. And so yeah, definitely. I think Anya is probably eventually not going to be here as far as the right person in that role. And she's got, I think it's the fact that it's part-time that makes it hard, because somebody is like, well, I just want to work 10 to 2. And then as soon as 2 o'clock strikes, then they're out the door. So I just think that you're right. I got to find the person who's more excited about that role or that particular function that they just love.
Right. And maybe it's less hours and it's increased pay for, and figuring out how many hours do they actually need to create what you want them to create, so maybe it's 10 hours a week at $25 an hour or something, if that's their jam and they're really good at it and they just want, I don't know, just thinking about what that could look like.
Yeah.
And I think that it's like, okay, utilizing what I'm hearing is utilizing the resources we currently have and asking other people, like Jill was saying, like,
the colleague idea is
like, what's working? Like, let's not recreate the thing. And how do we make it our thing? But take what we like, take what works, leave the rest. But like finding someone who can do that for you, like your time is so limited, and it sounds like you have the capital because your expenses are so low.
Yeah.
To find that person to take that on,
Yeah. And I don't
But-
have,
And there are companies that do that, that will come in as efficiency experts, help you write your manual, especially since this is a temporary project.
Right.
You don't need
Right.
Like
somebody-
a contractor.
Right. You don't need somebody on an ongoing basis, but if you just need somebody to come in for a couple weeks, observe your processes, help you streamline them, and then write your SOP, there are companies that do that.
So that's awesome. That's a great thing. Like that, yeah, you don't have to bring in a person who's going to be with you for the whole year, but it's a project-based thing. Your goal is that you have an SOP, and we have structures and streamlined processes that we can replicate. And like, I love that idea, Jill, like finding So,
And then you
Yeah,
don't have to pay payroll taxes on them either.
so we're going to,
that's good.
there you go.
Yes.
So we're going to wrap up Lisa's part here, but given everything that came up today, what are a few actions? And we're about halfway through November. Given looking at the rest of the month, what do you feel like are your next steps?
I definitely am not opposed to taking in bids for the, that process, streamline, finding the right person and or company that will help just, and sometimes it's better that they don't know the financial industry so that, I don't have the same old as far as, well, you can't do it this way and you can't do it that way. And those are the molds that we've been breaking every single day. I mean, blowing compliance mind is like my number one goal, because they'll say, well, a workshop that you put on, Lisa, about showing a movie like The Greatest Showman and doing manicures is not really, what mutual fund presentation are you going to show, or annuity? I'm like, not going to happen. Oh, well, then you don't need to get it pre-approved. I go, well, I'm going to post it on Facebook and invite people to come, so it's public, or it's at least public within the realms of people who know me. And they'll go, oh yeah, then it does. Anything that's out there that's consumer accessible then needs to be approved. And then, but I'm not checking any of the boxes that say presentation of mutual fund company. And so they're scratching their heads going, why did she need this?
Like, what's happening?
So I'm constantly busting those open all the time. So asking, but getting an outside, something like a project manager or somebody who's just, this is your number one goals within 90 days, get me an SOP, get me some streamlined stuff. So I think that is definitely, I'll just start looking out for bids and maybe posting places where people can tell me what they got.
Love it. I think that sounds great. Boom. High five.
You might try looking, I'm sure you guys have Lean Six Sigma camps there.
What is it called?
Lean Six Sigma. It's an efficiency thing.
Okay. Is it a process or is it a company?
No, it's a process.
Okay.
It's a process. If you Google Lean Six and Lean Six Sigma, they're all over here, so they've got to be there. It's an international thing. But somebody who is certified in Lean Six Sigma can really be helpful for you in the streamlining and the organization part of it as well.
I wrote it down. Thanks, Jill. Because I know I have a company in Vancouver that's a manufacturing company, and there's something that Toyota does in Japan about their mechanic and how they manufacture certain things. It has that kind of a name where it's this like what we do. My husband works for OSHA, so is a SHARP program. Are you part of the SHARP program? So I know that would probably be something. I'll Google it and see what we have.
It came down from the manufacturing industry and has boomed to businesses as a business consultant. So I'm not certified yet, but I've got that Lean Six Sigma processes that I use. But it just totally helps.
Beautiful.
So I'm just thinking if you Google that and you can find somebody in your area, it might be a good starting place.
Awesome.
That's great.
Thank you.
Great resources, Jill. Great ideas.
Sometimes.
All right. Jill, you are up.
Oh goodness. I don't know quite where to start. one of the things that Lisa and I were talking about is professionals who ghost. Like grown-ups, people who are supposed to be grown-ass adults, professionals, and they ghost you. And I don't understand that. I'm in my 40s, and that is not something that I was raised to do. So I don't think it's a generational kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I've recently been ghosted by a bunch of people, not a bunch, like 2 people. And I'm like, what?
Like potential clients?
Potential clients. One of them, a 62-year-old woman who told me 3 times that she was signing my contract. And then she disappeared. Like, what is this phenomenon of ghosting? Like, just be a grown-up. I'm a grown-up. I can take the word no. And
right,
I would
right. Just be
word no
communicate.
and be sitting here wondering what happened.
Right.
You know? So I just don't understand that. But I had that happen twice in the last few weeks. Lisa, you were talking about something called the takeaway, and then you were breaking up, and I didn't quite get what you were saying. Can you repeat that for me, please?
Yeah, so it was and I never gravitate to the old sales techniques, but it was like way on early in my career. I took a sales class, and the one thing that I took away from this one class was something called the takeaway. So when you're ready to close the business, or when you're ready at that point where you're going to send them you're setting up their expectation that, well, you'll receive my proposal in the next 2 weeks, and it sounds like if I can, I can do 1, 2, and this third thing for you, then we're agreeing about this price. This is going to be the price that I'll be sending to you, blah, blah, blah. Then you can just.
Uh-oh. She muted.
Hear from you by next Thursday. Am I gone? Okay.
Oh, now you're back.
If you can't, okay. So if you send that out and you give them a deadline, like, if I don't hear from you by the 30th, then I'm just going to assume that it's not going to be a good deal for you, or you're not going to be in a place right now that you can really maybe afford it, or that you want to move forward. And so, no harm, no foul. But if I just don't hear from you, then I'm not going to keep pestering you about it. And that way, then you have and then it takes it off your shoulders, right? Then it's like, it's not on me anymore. It's completely in their the side of the tennis court, and they have to lob it back over if it's really going to happen. And so that just makes your brain now not lament about it and have to worry about it over and over again.
Yeah, I do something similar, and I do have time limits on my contracts, and I don't write a contract until somebody says they're ready to buy, which is why this just blows my mind. Right. Because you told me as I'm walking in your office face to face, you are ready to buy, and I say, okay, I will have the contract over to you within the hour. And then I never hear from them again. Like, thank you for wasting my time. But no, I agree with that, because I don't chase. If you're not going to sign my contract, you're not going to sign it. No harm. That's fine. But just be a grown up. Once you've already said yes, be a grown up and say, hey, you know what? I talked with my wife. I talked with my business partner. I did whatever, and it's just not going to work for me right now. Yeah. I would rather hear that.
And people like this, a lot of people don't have the skills even around, like, I mean, I know that you feel like you're like, I'd rather hear no than nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know if there's a place in your conversations for like, either way, please let me know either way by such and such date. Like, because I am holding this space for you.
Yep.
We have so many clients, and have it be, and again, all of these things, like maybe you do this and like they just still don't say anything.
Yeah.
But I think for your energy and heart and mind and mental sanity, just being like, okay, that's like, not taking it personally. You're doing the best
Yeah.
that you can to not take it personally, and being like, I did everything that I could.
Yeah.
And there's going to be people that ghost, or there's going to be people that don't respond, and letting it go so that it's not weighing you down or draining you or your energy. Because it's like, it is a bummer when you've had like numerous conversations, you think everything's all good, and then like peace out, Girl Scout kind of thing. And you know, having a process of like, all right, I'm gonna, like, my one last thing is I call them, and if I don't hear back, I'm gonna let it go.
Yeah.
Right. Because what I hear in that is like, A, number one, it sucks, but B, number, like, it's a crappy situation, but also that it just impacts you.
Mm-hmm.
And so
because in my mind, I've already like put aside that revenue, and I've already like,
right.
You know, because they said we're ready, and I've already laid out, this is the pricing.
Right.
And yes, I do that, and I'm getting better at it, and I'm doing a lot better with it than I was a couple months ago, where it was like,
devastating. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that I don't understand about people.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
and I'm a freaking psychologist.
No, but maybe you could also, Jill, say it right. Maybe just express that right there before you leave their office. You know, before I send you this contract, I've been having a lot of people who just won't respond at all. And I don't think they're trying to be rude or they're trying to be unprofessional. But even if you tell me no, I'm going to be okay with that. I just want to make sure that we're not wasting each other's time, because it does take time and energy to figure out my schedule or where you're going to fit into my routine, and my team needs to know if there's going to be a new oncoming person versus.
I had that conversation with a guy in his office. He was hot to trot. He's like, yes, I have a deadline. This has to get out. So let's do this so you can get that going for me. Sent him the contract within an hour of leaving his office. Didn't hear from him. I finally, about a week later, because my contracts do have a 5 business day expiration.
Yeah.
Said, hey, haven't heard from you. Just checking in. Just let me know one way or another if we're moving forward. And apparently his wife got in his head. And
he didn't want to talk to you about it.
He said he can't spend the money where, in his office he was ready. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
At least you heard from him, right? You heard from him.
Yeah. This other woman, the 62-year-old who has she's an attorney in Pennsylvania and has told me 3 times she's signing my contract. I've just stopped following up with her because she hasn't.
Yeah. And
if she comes back, then we're going to have to do a new contract because it's already been like 3 weeks.
Right.
And in my contracts, it says if we have to redo this due to lack of communication or anything, you have to pay a fee. She's not going to like that. Well, but everything else is going pretty well. I'm still trying to find a couple people to do some role playing of sales conversations and handling objections and doing, because I in my mastermind group I brought that up, and apparently everybody else is feeling the same way. So we're like, great, let's get together and do some role playing. And then I think it's just scheduling is tough. So I mean that's still something that I have on my commitments that I want to get done. My other things, we did the SWOT analysis. That went really well with my team. I'm still looking at systems and processes. That's kind of slow just because that's kind of gets worked in. But I think our systems and processes are pretty good. So I'm not overly concerned about that. And then what was the other thing? One of the things that came out of my SWOT analysis with my team was that they want to work more with the health and fitness industry. So I'm looking for ways to do that. So that's something that I added to my list of, I don't have any special systems and processes for them like I do for my attorneys, which makes it just a little more challenging to me to be able to sell the company as we can solve this for you. Because with my attorneys, I've got over 20 years of managing attorneys. So I have systems for that.
Right.
I'm just trying to find the companies, how I can advertise, through what means, and then what our differentiator is going to be on that.
So what was did that come up in like the opportunity part of the SWOT analysis of like health and fitness clubs? What about that did they see? Like, why did that come up, do you think?
Well, hang on. I can tell ya. Here's my SWOT. One sec. Oh, I didn't put why she wanted that. My lead employee, she said she really just enjoys that. We've had a couple yoga studios and what did we have? Kickboxing. And she said she just really enjoyed working with that. And I said, okay, great.
Is that something that she would be willing to take on or figure out as far as like, and I don't know what types of different systems would need to be in place that
I don't think that there really would be, but I did tell her, I said, if I'm going to pitch that, you need to be there because you need to be able to help me articulate why we're the better choice.
Right. And so, you know, and maybe, and I don't know if she's that type of person where you can, I don't know, hand that off to her, like delegate a little, as far as like, what do you think is different? She can't, that's not her.
Well, I can ask her, but she's not going to articulate that in a meeting. So, you know, I've asked her to put that together for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be like, what do you think is different about what, so how we would pitch this to these companies,
right,
or whatever. Because if it's her idea.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. I like, if this is,
because the thing is, to me, it's like, unless she's willing to do that, it's great to throw spaghetti at the wall, or it's great. Like, ideas are great.
Right.
Is that something that you want to do? You know, as the business owner, like, do you want to differentiate? Do you want to have that other, I don't even know if the word would be branch, like other, like type of business that you want to serve? Or do you want to like really niche and continue to like do the work with attorneys?
If
like,
I
would
had
be really good at that thing versus take this on, is our messaging gonna get diluted? Or
if I had my way, we would work with only attorneys and chiropractors if I had my way. However, a lot of time it's just what comes to us and what we're going after. So with my attorneys, I have processes in place for them because they have to be done a certain way.
Right.
The fitness industry does not. So I don't have any specific processes to the fitness industry.
Right.
So that's where my struggle is. What is our differentiator there? Why should a fitness industry hire us over the other firm?
Right.
I mean, I can articulate that left and right, backwards and forwards for the attorneys, but that's where, I have asked her to tell me, you know, come up with a pitch for me on there, because if I'm going to have to create an ad, I need to have it. I need to know.
And because I think that it's just getting clear. I think having that conversation with her and being like, you know, what if this is truly an opportunity, right? Like, how are we going to communicate that? I just so at the event that I was at yesterday or this weekend, do y'all use LinkedIn?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, I use it very, very, very minimally, you know, but she was just, as far as like for B2B, and there's so much free stuff that you can do, sending messages of like, and I don't know cycles, but like, I don't know if this is a good time to like get people in for January, you know, like as far as just reaching out to, if you're going to want to do the fitness studio thing, or even just like do the attorneys and chiropractors, honing in, like you can search on LinkedIn.
Oh,
again, maybe like that's something that you're already doing. But it's like, I know that it's kind of, LinkedIn's one of those things I know that it's there, but I don't use it in the way that it could be utilized. And I don't know if it, if what you've tried.
Yeah, I've done LinkedIn. I've done some heavy LinkedIn campaigning in the past. I'm kind of iffy on LinkedIn right now because the last, I think, 4 or 5 in messages I've received have all been dating requests.
What?
Yeah.
That's weird.
So I'm kind of like, I don't know about LinkedIn so much anymore. But yes, I've done all of that. I've done LinkedIn prospecting.
Yeah.
What I'm looking for now is something similar to what I'm doing with the attorneys, which I partnered with a company that markets to only attorneys. So I'm looking for a company that markets only to those fitness studios. Yeah. And I've talked with a couple buddies of mine who own fitness studios. I'm like, where do I look?
Yeah.
So I'm getting their input and like, who do I advertise with that's going to reach?
Right.
That's going to reach.
And
so I'm working on it.
And as you talk to them too, maybe even asking them what are their challenges with their accounting systems, because even if you talk to a few people, that can lead to the language of your differentiation of like, what things have you tried, what works, what doesn't work, and what do you want,
right?
And like create something based on that to say like, after talking to these, and if you're a person, like is that something that you could delegate that to, like, all right, go talk to 5 fitness studios and ask them what they're like, I don't know, again, like, but getting more insight into what systems are they using, or who are they using for their accounting, what about that works, what about that doesn't work, and what would you want ultimately. And so that might help.
Ask you said you have some yoga studio and a kickboxing studio. Just go back and just do a little survey about what experience have you enjoyed about our services, and what is our why did you choose us over a different, or what was this thing that you liked about us more?
Yeah.
And so what would in bringing, in doing work with these fitness studios, what would your ultimate goal be in taking that on, or in offering those services to those types of companies?
I mean, it's got multiple folds in there. 1, it's revenue. 2, it's more work for my employees, which they want more hours. And when my key employee, my lead, says this is who I want to work with, I want to make sure that where I'm keeping her somewhat happy, and, because I want their buy-in. I want my employees buy-in. So if I can say, you said you wanted to work with these companies, here they are for you, that just builds more trust between us.
Mm-hmm.
It builds more loyalty that I'm following through on that for her. So that, and that's why I asked my employees the question, who do you guys want to work with? I can tell you who I like working with, but who do you guys want to work with?
Yeah. Love it. Beautiful.
That's where I am.
That's where you're at. So what do you see as your next steps, or what support would be helpful for you right now?
So I'm really working on finding those avenues that I can do some more advertising with. If anybody wants to do some sales conversation role playing, that would be awesome. I would love that. That would really be helpful to me right now.
Beautiful.
Let's just add that to our next time we talk, if we want to do it. I don't know if that's too far out, because we're in a couple weeks.
I mean, whenever it can happen, it can happen. Because I know scheduling right now, especially with the holidays, is really rough. I'm about to be out For a week. I know I'm going to miss our call on the 28th. I'll be in Mexico, and then we've got,
Yep.
We've got other holidays and everything else. So I know right now it's tough for everybody. So whenever we can do that.
Okay. I am happy to book one with you for this Friday.
Where am I?
How long are your sales conversations typically, or like your consultations?
They're usually about an hour.
Okay.
And it's, I can show you like my questions, my templates that I use to get information. And yeah.
Great.
I've got a breakfast on Friday morning, and then I'm pretty open after that.
Okay. I am free before 11:30 my time.
Okay.
Like I could do like a 10 a.m. And then or else I'm not free until like after 2. But 10 a.m. would be like noon your time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll put that down, and just want to call me. We'll do a sales role play on Friday.
You want to do it on Zoom, and I can show you my template stuff and
Sure. Happy to support you with that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey guys, my 11:30 is here. She's
Okay.
locked out of the building because we're not supposed to be open. So
Beautiful.
do you mind if I sign off and then we'll catch up soon?
Rock it out.
Sounds good. Thank you, ladies.
You're awesome,
Yeah.
Lisa. Have a beautiful week. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Too.
Right.
Thanks. I'll talk to you on Friday, Marley.
All right. Sounds good, everybody.
Thanks.
Yep, you bet.
Bye.
Bye.